Hello, teachers. Welcome to Teaching Phonics to Build Foundations in Literacy. I'm Jeanette Gomez. We have talked about before auditory discovery learning, where you're listening for sounds and you're looking at your mouth in the mirror and you're making prediction of what letter makes that sound. Today we're going to talk about visual discovery learning for phonics. And this is important because when you are discovering something, students are more apt to remember it because they've made the connection by themselves with you facilitating. And also with the discovery process, it gives students an ability to practice their problem-solving skills, and they're able to be critical thinkers as well. Generally, some teachers in the past have just said, okay, here we go. We have a letter, and the sound of this letter is Z. And the name of this letter is Z. So I want you to remember that Z makes Z sound. But instead of just being the dispenser of all the knowledge to the students, you need to have them problem solve on their own. So today I'm going to do a visual discovery learning letter introduction with you. And there are 5 steps to this. I'm going to show it to you. And I'm going to also upload it so you can download it for yourself. The first thing when you're doing a visual discovery learning is to tell the students, today we will learn a new letter and its sound. Watch me as I write these words. And so you write down 4 or 3 words that all begin with the same sound, or they could all end with the same sound or letter. And then you're going to ask, what do these letters have in common? So the students are looking at those letters and they're making a visual discovery. What letter do they all have in common? And when they answer that, you underline these common letters, and that you're underlining it to just visually help those letters stand out. Then you move to step 2, and you tell the students what's in black print. Listen and repeat these words after me to learn what sound these common letters make, and you read those words. And then you ask the students, what sound did you hear? And then you have them make sure that all students can see your mouth as you model how to make the sound. And then sometimes you might want to give them little hints by saying, my teeth is closed, my tongue is behind my teeth, blocking the sound. Or you can give them hints about your teeth should be touching your lips, things like that, to make sure they're pronouncing the sound correctly. Because this is very important when it leads to decoding a word correctly, and of course when it leads to spelling a word. And then you move on to step 3. And at this time, you give the students a mirror, and you're asking the students, now look at your mouth in the mirror again and say the sound. And then you repeat the sound that is the target sound. And you ask them a series of questions. Is your mouth open or closed? Touch your throat with your hand and say the sound. Can you feel your vocal cords vibrate or move? Then you go on to the next question. Is it voiced or unvoiced? And what is very important is the voiced and unvoiced. Voiced and unvoiced is a very important skill to know because it predicts the sound of some letters that follow it. And you want them to pay special attention to it now. And then you're asking them, is this a sound, a vowel, or a consonant? Then after you do that, you move to step 4. You give a riddle or have a small object in a bag for students to feel for the discovery of the keyword. And it's important to have a keyword because when you're doing spelling and they're hearing the sound but they can't quite connect it to a letter, you can remind them, oh, remember that's the O for hat. And then they'll write down the H because it's kind of like a trigger for them to remember it. And then step 5, the last step, is to show the reading card and say the letter name is blank, the keyword and sound is, and then you do that. Okay, this is the process, and I'm going to model it for you. Okay, today we're going to learn a new letter and its sound. Watch me as I write these words. Z, I, P. Z, O, O. Z, I, P, P, E, R. Z, E, S, T. Now, I say the letters as I write up the word because I'm trying to get not only my visual learners, but also my auditory learners to be paying attention, and so they can follow along with me. And I intentionally line up my letters so they can actually, the visual learners can pick it out easier. So if, for example, if let's say the common letter was the end, I would intentionally line up my endings so they can stand out better for them. What letters do they have in common? The students will say Z, and so I'm going to intentionally underline it because I want them to focus in on this part of the word when we read them. Listen and repeat these words after me to learn what sound the common letters make. Zip, and the students say zip. Zoo, zipper, and the students repeat zipper. Zest. What sound did you hear? Z. Correct. You heard the sound Z. Now take out your mirror, look at your mouth in the mirror again, and say the sound Z. Z. Is your mouth open or closed? You're right, it's closed. It's closed by your teeth and your tongue blocking it. Now touch your throat with your hand and say the sound Z. Can you feel your vocal cords vibrate or move? You sure can. Is it a voice sound or an unvoiced sound? It's a voice sound. So it was closed and voiced. Is this a sound, a vowel, or a consonant? You're correct, it's a consonant because our mouth was closed. I'm going to give you a riddle to see if you can figure out what our keyword to help us remember that Z makes a Z sound. I'm an animal. I am an African wild horse. I have black and white stripes. I am a... Correct. It is a zebra. Let me show you the reading card. The letter name is Z. The keyword and sound is zebra, Z. Okay, so that is how to teach phonics using a visual discovery method. And to review that for you, you have the students, you tell them that you're going to learn new letter and sound, and you write down the words. You tell them to watch as you write down the words, and I say the letters as I write them down to kind of get my auditory learners as well as I'm getting my visual learners. And after I write down all the words, and I haven't read them yet, I'm just writing them down, I ask, what do these letters have in common? And then I underline them to kind of focus in visually when I'm reading through it what sound that letter makes. And I read the words, and there's really two ways you can do it when you read the words. You can just say zip, and the student says zip, zoo, and zoo. But if I'm really working with a group of students that are very struggling readers, I go like this: zip, zoo, zipper. I really accentuate the sound I want them to hear. And I ask them, what sound did you hear? And then they say the sound. I make sure they see my mouth so they're pronouncing the sound correctly. I have them take out the mirror, and I ask them, is your mouth open or closed? Touch your throat. Do you feel your vocal cords vibrate? Is it voiced or unvoiced? Is it a vowel or consonant? And they know it's a vowel because vowels are always open and voiced. And they'll know it's a consonant because a consonant is partially closed or fully closed by our teeth, tongue, or your lips. And then I do a small riddle, or I can put an object in a bag and have the students take turns feeling in the bag and guessing what that keyword is. And there are times when I've had students actually, if a piece of fruit was our keyword, I would actually cut up the fruit and have them all have a sample of the fruit. Anything you can make it more memorable for them so they can actually make a connection to their phonics and the letter name and its sound. And then at the end, I show a reading card that has the letter name, a picture clue because I'm getting my visual learners, and then also I am using my visual learners to show the word because some of our English language learners need to see the word written, and I put the letter in a different color because I really want it to stand out, and that's really important when you get into a lot of longer words, a lot of more difficult sounding, in-sounding words. And then the sound here, okay? And that's how I do a visual discovery. Visual discovery is important because it helps students problem solve. You're not the dispenser of the information. They're making their own connection with you, guiding them. All right, thank you, teachers. Have a great day.